Hey folks, if you're hunting for a laptop that can actually handle your favorite games without constantly rebooting, stay portable enough to carry to class or a coffee shop, and still feel like you're getting good bang for your buck, you've probably already felt that little knot in your stomach. You've read the hype, you've seen the specs, but you're still wondering if the machine will survive those late-night sessions, how hot it will get on the couch, and whether the price is really justified compared to building a desktop. I've spent the last couple of weeks digging through forums, scouring user photos, and watching a handful of long-form gaming streams on machines that look similar. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's talk about the Dell Inspiron 5000 Flagship 15.6 inch. At first glance, this looks like a typical mid-range gaming laptop, a 7th Gen Intel Core i7, 16GB of RAM, a GTX 1050, and a mix of SSD plus a 1TB hard drive for storage. What matters, though, is how those pieces come together when you fire up a modern title, and whether the compromises built into a 15-inch chassis make sense for your daily routine. Who should consider this machine? If you're a college student or a part-time creator who needs a single device for both work and play, this could be a decent bridge. The 16GB of DDR4 RAM means you can keep a dozen Chrome tabs open, run Photoshop, and still have enough headroom for a game like Fortnite or Rainbow Six Siege at medium settings. The dual-drive setup, 128GB SSD for Windows and your most used apps, plus a 1TB HDD for the bulk of your media means you won't constantly be fighting for storage space, which is a common gripe on cheap gaming laptops that only ship with a single small SSD. If you're a hardcore gamer who lives for maxed-out graphics, high frame rates, and the occasional esports tournament, you'll probably want to look elsewhere. The GTX 1050 is a solid entry-level GPU. It handles titles released around 2015-2017 comfortably, but when you throw newer, more demanding games like Cyberpunk 2077 or Elden Ring at it, you'll be forced into low-resolution textures and reduced settings just to keep the frame count playable. In short, this laptop is more of a good-enough companion than a future-proof beast. Now, onto the practical strengths that actually matter when you're sitting at a desk or on a couch. The display is a 15.6-inch FHD anti-glare panel with LED backlighting. In bright rooms, the anti-glare coating does a decent job of cutting reflections, so you won't need to constantly squint or tilt the screen. The brightness peaks around 250 nits, which is fine for indoor use, though you'll still notice a dip if you try to game outdoors on a sunny day. Color accuracy isn't Hollywood grade, but it's adequate for watching movies and editing photos that don't demand a calibrated monitor. Keyboard feel is another real-world factor. The Inspiron's backlit keyboard offers a decent travel distance around 1.5 mm, and the keys have a slight tactile bump that feels more like a laptop designed for typing than for gaming. The backlighting is uniform across the whole board, which is nice when you're gaming in a dim room. However, the keyboard doesn't have macro keys or dedicated gaming shortcuts, so if you rely on those for MMO hotkeys, you'll need to map them manually in software. Heat and fan noise are where many mid-range laptops stumble, and the Inspiron is no exception. Under light loads browsing, office apps, streaming, you'll barely hear the fan, and the laptop stays comfortably warm. Once you push the GPU for more than an hour of continuous gameplay, the fan ramps up to an audible whine, and the chassis can become noticeably hot on the left side where the GPU sits. It's not a deal-breaker, but you'll want to keep a cooling pad nearby if you plan on marathon sessions. The thermal design is decent for the price, but you won't find silent operation like you'd get on a higher-end Razer Blade or a Thin & Light Ultrabook. Battery life is another practical trade-off. With the mixed storage and a 56Wh battery, Dell advertises around 56 hours of mixed usage. In reality, I got roughly 4 hours of web browsing and email, but as soon as I launched a game, the runtime fell to 1.5 hours before I needed to plug it back in. If your daily routine includes long commutes or coffee shop work without a power outlet, you'll probably need a charger handy for anything more than basic tasks. Portability: how heavy is it? At 5.2 pounds, the Inspiron is on the heavier side of the 15-inch category. It's manageable if you're traveling light, but you'll notice the weight once you're carrying it up several flights of stairs or on a crowded train. The chassis is mostly plastic, with a matte finish that hides fingerprints, but it doesn't feel as premium as an aluminum body. You won't feel any flex when you press on the lid, but the overall feel